Hey there, it's Tom Suvansri at Perennial Pride here for another prideful conversation on this lovely Friday afternoon. Excited to be here with you today. It's a beautiful day, sunshine beaming on this spectacular day, and it's pretty still out here, so it's beautiful. But yeah, interesting week this week. Still a lot of turbulence going on around a lot of things. Um, so today I just want to talk through one of the main things that has consistently comes up in conversations with anyone, even if I'm not talking about finances and in respect, is uncertainty. And even in these sort of unique times we live in, uncertainty is always around us anyway, right? We don't know what the next hour or next day is going to hold for any of us. So there is some level of uncertainty, but in this day and age, with a lot of things moving around, it's increased that stress for a lot of people around uncertainty. And at times like this is when we sometimes have to certainly appreciate our emotional positioning on all of this, but also sometimes take a breather and try to think logically about it. How do we approach these sort of situations? Certainly around our finances as things are still kind of evolving. And there was one quote that it kind of stuck with me. It's from a physical chemist, the Nobel laureate Ilya Prigogine, who basically said that you know the future is uncertain, and but it's you know that uncertainty that is at the heart of human creativity, and that's certainly a much more positive spin on it from my perspective around what could be from all of this uncertainty, and how do we as individuals and as we're trying to take care of things for our families and our other causes and things important to us, how do we use this time of uncertainty to position ourselves to tackle that uncertainty and be prepared for it, and more importantly, be prepared for the opportunities that come with it. Because as we know, as turmoil hits, there's always opportunity there for those who are looking for it and are ready for it. And so today I just want to cover a few different topics that kind of come to mind for me around this, on how you could go about thinking about that for your own sort of personal financial life, to be prepared and have a more positive spin on it, and sort of do something, as opposed to sitting in potential fear of what's happening and just kind of be a deer in headlights, which to me doesn't feel right either, right? And just kind of bear the brunt of it and hope things turn out well. That's not, to me, a tremendous strategy. So one of the things starts with, which I think people hear us enough, is you know uh, go to some level of safety, right? Because there is tons of risk out here and uncertainty and unknowns of what's going on. And you hear it around large financial institutions around the globe, hedge funds, you name it, going to cash, right? To going to safety. And this is not a bad place to be, right? Even though it can't keep up with inflation wherever you're storing it, whether it's a bank or buying treasuries, or my go-to place is in life insurance that I can control. But regardless, you have different options to where to store safe dollars that can be hopefully accessible near term. Having something that's not bad, right? To take it some off the table, especially when people have maybe had some significant gains over the years, and taking some off the table so you can be prepared. And I often think about having this all the time, right? Having obviously your emergency money set aside, so who knows what happens, right? The emergency cookie jar, but always having some money that's available for opportunities. Because what I've come to realize over the years is people who have cash and ready cash, opportunities seek you out. And there's a lot of great minds and entrepreneurs doing wonderful things and are looking for capital, and sometimes going through the traditional routes are not available or advantageous for them. So finding those opportunities are key, and having the resources to use those opportunities and take advantage of them is even more so. Unfortunately, a lot of dollars for people are locked up in certain places that it's just hard to get. So that's number one. Obviously, going, making sure you have that ample sort of supply of safe dollars, and position them in places that hopefully are a little bit more productive. The second thing to consider is wherever you are in your job or your business, wherever situation in life, what are ways that you can improve what you're doing? Obviously invest in yourself. We're obviously the number one asset we own in terms of being creative, right, and producing and providing value to others in this world. And so, how do we improve that? Whether through education, through networking, going to conferences, even just opening up a book, right? Finding ways to continue to develop ourselves and put the investment in ourselves. So it's important to do so. It's something that over the years, it's something that I really have appreciated, and that investment could multiply way more than any investment I put into like a stock or whatever. I mean, it can really exponentially be beneficial. So thinking of those ways now, like what are some areas maybe you want to hone in on skills and capabilities and explore them. This is probably a good time to maybe invest in that, invest in yourself. The third thing is partly related to the development, but if you're not in a business or if you're in a business, right, what are some other areas of business that you could venture into? Whether it's something you're passionate about just naturally and you just have interest, and you explore whether this could become an actual business and use as a like the typical side hustle or something that's you can nurture and grow separately from your core, say, job. Exploring that, because it will give you potential options down the road, and is maybe something you're going to stumble across and you fall in love with it and you want to put your heart and passion behind it because of whatever interest you have in it. And so this might be a good time to explore that further and start learning what would that business be like. I mean, when I started my financial practice, it didn't just overnight I turned it on and switched it. It's something that I took time to nurture and understand it, see where I'm best fit to help people and the types of people I want to help. So it takes some time, but that's where you can go exploring and figuring that out and experimenting with it and knowing that it could be something that grows over time, and then, or you turn around and say it isn't for you and it isn't what you want to have as part of your life, and that's good too. But taking the time to say, what if you started the business? What would it be like? What would you focus on, and how would you best serve on this earth? So that's another area, because we know businesses are certainly lifeblood of this country and world, and having a stake in your own business could be very lucrative and certainly come with other benefits to it as well. But getting started is one of the keys, at least exploring it. And the last piece I'll share with you is also we get so can get easily sort of enamored with sort of the typical advice around finances. And obviously, as I've grown and learning my own stuff personally and how I help clients, and it's an evolution every single day and every week to learn more, is that there's alternative type investments out there that you won't find in your 401k, for instance. And these are ones that are something basic as real estate, or other investing in other people's businesses as partners. There's a lot of different options, commodities, oil and gas, whatever. There's a lot of different things to explore, and they may or may not be right for people. But what I would encourage you to do is stay open-minded and start learning about them, because I think for a lot of people, they're invested in things that certainly they don't own or control. And to me, that adds a level of risk to people's financial lives that, for some of your money, that might be fine. But for a bulk of the money, to me, that's more closer to gambling than investing. So thinking about there are other areas of investment, or areas or assets that you might want to invest in that you could control more of, and you can dictate the direction of them more so. We won't have always complete 100% control, but you might have more, which would hopefully result in better returns and lower risk overall, and sprinkle in a little bit of tax benefits, then you have a nice little recipe there. So those are 4 things I wanted to just quickly share with you today, and probably a little longer than I expected, but just some food for thought as you kind of deal with the uncertainty of the economy and life. And so how do you seize more control of that? Is taking action and taking responsibility and doing something. Sitting back and hoping it goes away or it turns out, to me, that is a recipe for potential disaster and pain. So I encourage you to take some actions, and certainly if you want to talk about any of these things with me, I love it. I always love chatting with people and hearing kind of how they view things. And if I can help, I'll help, and if not, I'll share you with somebody who can. Reach out to you can go to my website, perennialpride.com, or certainly reach me here on Facebook or at tom@perennialpride.com. Always free to chat, and always love to chat with you. All right, take care. Have a wonderful rest of the day and weekend. Enjoy it, and try not to let the uncertainty ruin your day, and enjoy every day on this earth, because they're very precious, and I value them more and more. So thanks a lot, and thanks for anyone who's listening, and take care.